Hey everyone, Mr. Happy here, and welcome to Mondays with Mr. Happy, aka Mr. Happy Mondays, the weekly Q&A show where you ask me questions and I answer them. Was that slightly different than my normal? I think it was. So two things real quick. One, I don't know if you can hear the fan. It's just really hot in here, so I'm leaving the fan on. I don't know if it's picking up on the microphone all that much. No one complains about it on the Twitch live stream, but I know on YouTube, I don't know. Maybe someone will on YouTube. So I'm just letting you know that's the sound if you do hear it. Two is, it's been an eventful week with Zodiac Age and the live letter and whatnot. So a lot of people have been asking me about Tuesday for Savage. So I had a raid group about a month before Stormblood came out. However, the person who was leading it just didn't want to lead a raid group anymore. They just kind of wanted to be in a raid group. So we didn't really have a leader, so we disbanded. And I wasn't able to pick up a new raid team in the last 2 months because a lot of the raid teams had already kind of formed within Elysium. So I'm probably going to be pugging for the first week or filling in for any of the raid groups that just may end up needing a melee DPS to help if like somebody doesn't log in or they want to do extra attempts and stuff like that. So my raid experience the first week is going to be pretty limited. The second week I'll be able to raid with alt groups and whatnot. So that's what my current plan is for Savage. I'm not planning on like a 10-hour stream or like a 12-hour stream the day of and progging the whole time. I'll probably pug a few party finders and that's about it, just to kind of check it out. But other than that, I'm probably going to be doing a lot more Lost Canals of Uznair that week while everyone's in Savage. Take that time to get rich off some of the more the easier items to get in the game. But hopefully I won't be in the pug life by the time 4.2 rolls around when there's actually another static. I'll be looking for a static all throughout 4.0, 4.2, hopefully within Elysium, so that way I don't have to go too far. But if I end up having to join something like through the Party Finder, even if it's like a set group that I just joined through the Party Finder, I'll do that. It doesn't really matter to me all too much. It's pretty similar to my experience back at 3.2 when I left World Prog and I didn't have a set raid group until like almost 3.4 pretty much. So I'm kind of used to this scenario. It's just kind of how it's been for me recently. So I wanted to put that out here since I know some people might ask in this question with Savage coming out. So if I get that question, I'll probably just skip over it. That's kind of my answer to you right there. Anyway, we got 34 questions this week. Not doing Twitch questions because I'm feeling a little tired, a little worn down. So I'm just going to do the questions on the forums and we'll call it a week. Let's get started. All right, question number one is our usual question roulette. So let's see. About the journey into the interdimensional rift, a question of fighting game entertainment. So you're probably asking if I've watched Evo this last week. I caught bits and pieces. I didn't have a whole lot of time to watch Evo. So most important question of them all. You know what? I'm going to take most important question of them all. Please don't be a troll question. Please don't be a troll question. When does the legend Denmo McStronghuge appear on State of the Realm? Well, we have been going through our list of people to see who we can invite, who we never had on. And we are looking to do one that's focused on the other side of content creation. You know, Sly and myself, we stream on Twitch. I create YouTube videos. We've brought on Miz. We brought on Xeno. We brought on Stage Reborn. So we are looking to highlight more community members. There's a couple of members that I could think of for that show, but Denmo's on my list, actually. And Sly and I have been discussing a lot about having a greater variety of guests than we normally do. So I'm going to make sure that that's on the list, especially when we look towards a content creation, especially from a comedy standpoint. Drac is also on that list, especially because I've recently done a different podcast with him that hasn't released yet. So we'll be looking to add more people to Stay of the Realm in general. So that's another person that's on the list. All right, number two, hello there. I hope all is well. I'm doing all right. Thank you for all you guys that use it for everything progressing through Stormblood and Endgame. Well, thank you for watching them. I really appreciate that. My question is slightly spoilery in the sense that it can be implied from context. I'm not 100% sure I understand what that means. Oh, okay, reading through, I guess kind of. It's not super spoilery, but you know what, I'll still do the whole spoiler thing. You might have caught a few glimpses of the words from it. When I thumbs up again, it means spoilers are over. So mute if you don't want to hear the question, yada, yada, yada. It's off the screen. I have a question for you about the setting of the raids. After going through the story and watching everything unfold, I couldn't help but wonder why they insist on having the raids be side stories. How amazing would it be to have Alamigo be the raid? You know, I felt the same way. That was actually my prediction. For the 8-man raid prior to Omega being confirmed. I really wanted that. I felt like it would have been so good. We have a story mode for the raids now. I feel like it's not inappropriate to make them part of the progression. I guess technically you could look at what happened with the Royal Menagerie, and maybe that's why they want to avoid it. Maybe because players don't necessarily want to participate in that content and making them go through it as part of the main scenario quests. Maybe they just don't want that. But then it also kind of opens up the possibility that maybe you don't need a raid that a raid tier that necessarily has to stretch on the entire expansion. Like, you don't need just Interdimensional Rift and Omega. You know, you can have this variety of raids that evolve the story. And I immediately look to World of Warcraft, where that's kind of how their raids are. Their raids evolve the story throughout the expansion and eventually resolve the story itself. And I like that approach. I like that we have Omega, and I like its approach as well. But I totally get that idea, and I feel like it adds weight on, and you don't have to really concern yourself with whether or not the raid felt forced or not. It's part of the main scenario quest and helps build the story and whatnot. So I totally feel with you on this one. So I think it's just because they don't want to force people to do normal mode raids as part of the story when they've seen what happens with like doing other 8-man instances within the story. They've seen the forum stuff with Royal Menagerie, you know, going back to Steps of Faith, even just the normal mode primals at level 60, or things like Castrum and Praetorium. They've had so many negative experiences with player feedback that it's probably one of the main reasons they avoid it. Oh yeah, thumbs up, by the way. Spoiler over. All right, number 3. Greetings from the UK, Mr. Happy. It's been a long time since I posted. However, I'm so close to getting my Fenrir mount, I can't give you a bonus this week. I'll buy you battered fish chips. Now, that sounds awesome. My question, do you think a mage-type tank would be possible? I've always thought that it is possible. The problem is more setting up their gear in the game itself. Obviously, if it's going to be cloth-type armor, then it either has to scale the same with the caster gear, and they get more defense from their intelligence or something, or they need to be able to, or they need to create a brand new set of tank cloth gear that's just for that job, which is then another piece of loot that's dropping out of the raid chest. There's other problems that come with it, but I've always thought that it would be possible. Geomancer, in fact, that you mentioned, was the only tank mage job that kind of came to mind. Blue Mage, I guess, technically, but Blue Mage and Geomancer are like the two that always came to mind for me as tank mages. And I think it's possible to do, although I'm sure if we asked, there would be limitations listed similar to what I just listed there. All right, number 4. Hey, Happy. No bonus this week, unfortunately. Apologies. What? It's not a first-time post. You don't need a bonus, man. 2 questions for you. Shouldn't be bad. All right. My first question for you is, what is the best way for me to check my DPS as a PS4 user? Make sure I'm not slacking whilst I play. So I don't know if it's up to date, but there used to be a website specifically for Stone Sky Sea, where you could choose which Stone Sky Sea encounter you did and then put in how long it took you to kill it, and it would give you your average DPS. The reason being, when you enter the Susano Extreme as a monk, the Stone Sky Sea dummy, it's always going to have the same health. So if you kill it with 30 seconds left, you just have to subtract, you know, it took you 150 seconds to kill it, it has this much health, there's your DPS calculation. Now, in an active encounter, what most people do is what you suggest. They have a PC player who's a friend in the same raid group parsing for them. And those are really your 2 best options. According to my Twitch chat right now, that website that I mentioned is up to date. I don't know the name of the website, but I'm sure that by the time I answer your second question, someone from my Twitch chat will have linked it, and then I will know exactly what the website is, although I'm probably going to forget to put it in like the description. I always forget that. It's ffxiv.2digitalgames.de, and then you click the Stone Sky Sea calculate. That's really weird. There's no way that's going to... ffxiv.2, the number 2, like that, digitalgames.de. Just search something along those lines. Stone Sky Sea calculator on Google. You'll find it. And second, can you tell my friend Ryu that his cat is a boomerang? Your cat is a boomerang. And my cat is Aloha Dwayne the Cat Johnson. All right, number 5. Hello, Haps. First time bonus. So have every crit that happens in the game have a chance to proc Deep Meditation. Yeah, that's how it works already. You mean have a 100% chance? I'll take that. With Samurai being introduced as the same left side gear as Monk, what class do you think would share left side gear with Dragoon? I don't know. I don't know. I mean, there's got to be like male wearers in a sense that would work. I mean, even some of our existing jobs, you can kind of swing it that Dragoon could potentially share gear with them. I got nothing. I got nothing, man. Sorry, just blankaroo. Number 6. Hey Happy. As a bonus, have a nice day. Acceptable. What are the best role skills for DPS tank healer to tank? All right, well, that's a video on its own. I mean, it's subject to change because some fights have different role actions that are better for different encounters. You really have to educate yourself on the individual encounters. Like, for healers, some encounters don't need Asuna. You know, you just don't need to take it. Some do, some don't. But for DPS, most people take Goad because it's some sort of utility. In 4-man groups, not as important, but it's still pretty common to take. You almost always take Bloodbath at second wind for survivability. Invigorate's pretty common, but honestly, you don't need Invigorate as much now as you used to. It's still just kind of like a commonplace to take it. And then honestly, like like I said, my brain, I'm feeling kind of worn down today. So like names of certain things are kind of slipping my mind. Diversion's a big one for DPS though. Like, don't be an asshole. Take Diversion, please. Unless you're a bard, then take Tactician and Refresh. Tanks almost always take Convalescence, Provoke, and Rampart. There's no reason not to. If you need Ultimatum for AoEs, you do. If you need the parry from, what is it, Anticipation, you do. If you're going to get crit a lot, take the anti-crit. You know, there's all, like, again, there's a bunch of different options there. Reprisal is really good for tank busters. And healers, almost always Swift Cast, Lucid Dreaming, what's it called? Protect, unless in 8-man groups, only one of you realistically needs to take Protect. And then I'm trying to think of the other ones, man. It's slipping my mind. There's Rescue. There's Eye for an Eye is really good. There's Asuna, which I just mentioned before. I don't know, man. Words are just, I'm losing my mind. It's just, there's so many things. Those are just a few off the top of my head that are more important, though. So I would just look at, like, just Google role actions. Largesse, or however it's pronounced. Every week we've had this discussion that I pronounced that thing wrong. My brain is just... when I think healer role actions, I think rescue, and I think you know why. Yeah, that's the other one, the Divine Seal copy that's in there now that increases healing efficiency. Number 7, hey, Mr. Happy, long-time listener, first-time poster. Hey, my question involves the job UIs. See, how I main Red Mage, pretty happy with the dual magic UI, but I've noticed a lot of others are kind of flashy and just in the way. I was wondering what you think they'll give us a minimalistic UI. I think they just commented on it that the simple UI is currently in the works, and I think they're aiming for 4.1. Aiming for doesn't mean guaranteed, but I'm sure that they're trying to get it in the game as soon as possible. Just won't be ready for like Tuesday or something like that. That last question came before the live letter, so I might have just wanted to refer to the live letter where they actually straight up answered the question, but you guys know I don't just pull up resources most of the time while I'm doing this. Number 8, hello Haps, beyond here. Not my first time, so no bonus. That's how it works. You don't need to explain yourself. My question this week is about bannable offenses. Interesting. Recently, my friend was playing through Palace of the Dead. The rest of the party had gone ahead to the exit, but my friend stayed behind to open a coffer. On the way back to the exit, she somehow got put down. Instead of using the card of return, party just straight up kicked her from the instance instead of rezzing her to save themselves. Boyfriend instantly reported them for the action, so my question is, what would you qualify as a bannable or timeout period offense? I want to get your perspective as you've seen a lot of Kupo over this game's lifespan. I think abusing vote kick, which it sounds like this was, should actually be a temporary suspension. It's not, but... well, actually, I guess that's not true. It can be, but I don't know the exact conditions that cause it. A lot of the time, you just kind of get the response that you should add them to your cross-server blacklist or something like that so you don't get matched up with them again, yada, yada, yada. You know, whenever there's online harassment, unless it's like to a serious degree, the easier thing is just say, well, just blacklist them so you never have to play with them or deal with them again. I don't know what exactly is bannable. Obviously, there's the obvious things like RMTs, botting, you know, exploits. Those are all pretty easy ones. But for being kicked because 3 other party members are together and you're kind of the random and you're not playing the way they want you to, I think that's I don't know. I don't think that's going to be on the list. I think they're just going to tell you to add them to your cross-server blacklist from the list of recently played with. But I feel like it should be. I feel like that's something that should be punishable. That's not. I don't think it is. All right, number 10, great. I'm assuming you mean greets, but I'll accept it. Greats, Mr. Happy. Have a bonus of the X-Death minion. I already have it, but thank you anyway. A mortal Moogle you can use as a stress ball. I think that sounds kind of dark. Or maybe having a blitz ball. Alright, now I don't want to answer your fucking question. Anyway, 1, you as disappointed as I was that we didn't actually get to fight Lise on Ralger's palm, because I feel cheated that I didn't get that fight. Yeah, it's not even a spoiler at this point. We've known for ages that that's Lise in the girl in the red dress. They told us pretty much that that was going to be the case when 3.5 came around. No, I mean, I would have been a cool instance, but I feel like the cinematic properties would never have been replicated properly. So I'm actually kind of glad they didn't try to go too all out with it in-game, because the perception of it versus the way it would have actually looked in-game, I feel like you can't really compare the two. Number 2, between Samurai and Red Mage, which do you find more surprisingly fun to play? So Red Mage I thought was kind of boring when I first played it at level 70 at the Media Tour, but only because it was so easy. Now that I'm playing it as I'm leveling up, though, and I'm seeing how it plays as you get the tools versus just playing it all at once at level 70, it's a lot more fun to see the progression of it. Plus, the big numbers are so satisfying. A lot in the same way that Black Mage is super satisfying for those big numbers. I mean, it feels great when you jump in, do the melee combo, jump out. You have all these little tiny things that you can maximize in the form of manification, knowing when it's good in AoE situations. But all the rotations are super simple. I think that Red Mage was surprisingly fun, whereas Samurai was just straight up a blast. Like, it wasn't a surprise at all for me. Number 3, you got a favorite Zayla tribe. Nah, I really don't. I know a little bit about the different Zayla tribes, but really the only ones I know enough about to comment are the ones from the main scenario quests, and I feel like that's not fair to only choose between the 3 that I know from there. Number 11, salutations, Mr. Happy. It's my second time posting, but seeing as how you've worked on White Mage recently, you can have a bonus of Benediction reviving the person you used it on if they die while it takes its sweet time. Dude, that would be amazing if Benediction also had a res property to it, so even if it fucked up, it would at least still do something. I would take it. Is there any chance you would be able to do some kind of roundup on your streaming activities in the form of a YouTube video? What follows expository banter to read or not? Ugh. My schedule is as I don't get home until after you've concluded streaming, and a recap of what you've been up to and make. That's a really weird request. It's not weird because it's undoable. It's weird because I feel like that wouldn't... Hey guys, so today on stream, I fucking ran back and forth trying to spawn a treasure chest in Final Fantasy XII Zodiac Age for a shield that's invisible but is totally broken in the game. I don't know. It feels weird. It feels weird to do. I'm gonna say no to that request for now. Only because I don't really see a format in which it's good. I would really need to be a highlight clip, like Twitch highlights week, week of this from 2017, like that's the closest thing. And even that's still kind of like, meh. However, I do have Wolf who makes memes of me. Maybe I should just do memes of the week. Memes of the week seems like a good idea at the very least. So maybe that can happen. All right, number 12. Hey, Mr. Happy. My FC recently decided to take the free server transfer since new people are having trouble creating characters on Gilgamesh. I was wondering if you knew any social free companies on Gilgamesh. Seems like most free companies are focused on rating statistics, or rating statics. I'm looking for a large friendly community. Yeah, I don't know any off the top of my head. I'm in like 8 link shells. They all talk amongst each other. I'm in a free company where everyone talks to each other, even with the rating people. There are some more casual people that exist in all those different ones. So I don't know. There's a lot of them out there. They're just not the ones that advertise as much. You might want to just try going in the party finder or shouting around and seeing if you find something. Obviously, you're going to get trolled to fuck because it's Gilgamesh, but it's better than nothing else. I don't have any sort of direct recommendation here. All right, number 13. Hello, Omega Savage is almost here. How hyped are you for Omega Savage? So this isn't the same as the questions I said I would skip, so I'm going to leave this one in. If any job is adjusted, fixed at the same time Savage is released, wouldn't that screw over statics who already have set jobs and probable strategies? Yeah, it's kind of hard to really predict how it's going to go because everyone kind of gets their min-maxing done in the first 4 weeks, and then if they change things to the point where it could be influential on min-maxing for kill times, it is pretty rough. Unfortunately, it's something there's not much you could do about. I mean, they're trying to make the game more fun. They're not solely focused on those people. So, yeah, I think it's kind of annoying, but I'd rather they make balance updates for 95% of the community now than hold off for the 5% who are not even 5%, like the 1 or 2% that are competing for world first. I just don't feel like it's worth catering to that super small percentage over the major percentage that are the ones actually playing all these different jobs in the game and are also paying for their subscriber. As for who will take world first, I got no way of predicting it, man. Angered took it last time. Elysium took it 2 times before that. I don't know if the Japanese community has had anyone after Lucrezia who's really dedicated themselves to it hardcore. So it's a hard call, man. I can't predict anyone. Number 14. Hey, Haps. How you dowin'? I'm dowin' all right, man. How you dowin'? All right. So I've been seeing a lot of people complaining about people hating on the new Warrior. Well, I guess we don't even really need to talk about this all that much because Warrior is getting buffs. But I'll read it anyway. People tell me all the time I'm just upset that Warrior isn't top dog, and that's not the case. No, see, I don't really hear that. A lot of Warriors aren't saying they want to be at the top again. They're just saying they want stance dancing to be less shit. And shake it off to not be worthless, And I think those are both very reasonable things. Warriors aren't like, give me my 10% path back and give me Bloodbath back. Most of them are like, oh, I'm upset Bloodbath is gone. Not, I need Bloodbath back. Or I need to go exactly back to the way it was before. I feel like I've seen mostly reasonable feedback from warriors. And then warriors will say paladin's great. It's so great. It's great at everything. And I just want to be able to be looked at side by side with a paladin and for both of us to be reasonable. And then you have the people who meme and they're like, yeah, no, I gotta be, warriors gotta be the best all time, fell cleave. Yeah, yeah. That happens. But most of the time it's not very serious. And I've seen mostly reasonable feedback from warriors. All right, number 15. Oh, another question roulette. Someone's attempting another question roulette. Omega, unique gear, and spoiler. I'll take unique gear. Do you think the dev team might allow us to get multiples of the same unique gear from trade-ins, that is, gear obtainable from tomestones and raid drops? Oh, so for glamour problem, I don't see why it shouldn't be possible. How would it? I don't understand how it would help with a glamour problem. This sounds like more of an issue that would be solved with the rings, like how people, you know, get one ring and they got to upgrade that ring and then they got to buy the same ring again because they haven't gotten the ring from Savage. That sounds to me more like what it would fix, and I doubt it. That's the reason why it's called unique, because they don't want you to have more than one of it, and then especially for things that are in like dungeons and stuff, so someone just keeps rolling need. Dude, I need everything I can desynth. Imagine if it was even easier for me to do that, because sometimes I just don't want to take the effort to desynth something and then roll on it again. But imagine if I didn't have to do that. Dude, I'm taking everything. And I guarantee you a lot more people would do that as well. So no, I don't see them ever removing that unique property of those items. Oh, so before I even go to the next question, my chat says it's because of the whole way that glamoring works, because you can only glamour the item once. Yeah, how about this? Instead of removing the unique property, fix that problem. I think they've even said they're working on fixing that problem. So fix that problem with glamours first, instead of doing this. All right, number 16. Hi-yo, Haps. I'm going to keep this short and sweet. If we were to do a Super Savage of the Warring Triad where you fight all three of them at the same time, how would you do it? You want me to answer that now? I'll see you in 40 minutes when I get to question number 17, because that's how long it's going to take. I don't know. I mean, that's not even really the point of Super Savage. The point of Super Savage is to have an encounter that, you know, they don't have to put a whole lot of resources into. I don't know. Just give me Tower of Gods. I don't even want the Warring Triad, all three of them. Just give me the Tower of Gods, and I'll be happy. On that note, number 17. Yo, Haps, another quick question. Was it really necessary for ninjas to keep the all-fours trait? Could they have gotten something better to replace it? Honestly, I don't even think it's a matter of replacing the all-fours trait. They could have just given them something on top of it, because it's not a trait that has any major gameplay implications. You know what I mean? Except in PvP, which I don't even think it works in PvP now that I think about. I don't know. I don't think it does. Now that I'm thinking about it with the PvP changes. It doesn't matter. Like, if they want to add something, they'll add something. They're not going to look at, well, we got to get rid of all fours before we add this, or it's going to be imbalanced. No, they don't care. Number 18. Hi, Mr. Happy. First time asker, so I have a first time bonus of any game you want, getting either an HD re-release or a sequel. Dude, can I just get Final Fantasy VI, the fucking HD re-release instead of 7? Can I just get that instead? Like, just PS4 remake, everything. I don't want a re-release or re-sequel. Just give me that. If I have to pick a game that already exists, fuck Skylanders. Give me Spyro. Give me Spyro. I want Spyro back. I've been playing the Zodiac Age. Oh, dude, it's so much fun. But may enjoy making fun class combos with the new job system. I plan on Penelo being a white mage machinist so she can use the gun for attacking since her physical stats are crap. Also want to use all the classes in some way, but I'm running into a problem with guns, all seeming to be subpar. So guns ignore defense, but they don't scale with any stats. So yeah, they're pretty subpar. Until the main advantage they have is you have different bullets, which is the same advantage that the bow has, but the bow actually scales with stats but doesn't ignore defense. So it's tough. I don't use Machinist for guns. I use Machinist to give time magic to somebody who otherwise wouldn't have access to it. Green magics and time magics that they wouldn't otherwise have. My Foe Breaker has time mage. I'm sorry. My Foe Breaker has Machinist as their secondary, so they have access to do things like decoy themselves or use Hastaga and things like that. So I don't have to put all the responsibility on my mages instead of like stacking mage jobs, which I already did on 2 of them, which was a huge mistake. Not that it makes the game unplayable. I've beaten all the super bosses other than trial mode, but I still would have liked to have not done it that way. And given the choice to do it again, I would not do it that way. So I think that for me, that's what I value in Machinist. I value the access to the green magics and the time magics, not the use of the gun. All right, number 19. Whoa, this is a long one. Giggity. Hello, Mr. Happy. Here's a pretty serious question, and maybe a heavy one. All right, everyone, strap on in. I'm going to take a sip of this Coke right now. Hashtag ad placement. Not really. If Coke sponsored me, that'd be cool. All right, let's do it. I have known a friend for a little over 3 years of 14 overtime. His personality became more and more egocentric. Oh, this question. This one's always fun to talk about. He constantly belittles everyone and judges their worth by their gear. And if they are geared, he goes on to say how he's a better player than the geared player by doing everything right. He sometimes goes in a fit of rage on deaths or wipes because people failed him. And he feels insulted if he doesn't receive a commendation for what he feels like he deserves one. My friend has become so opinionated that he's driven away 2 free company members, both of whom jumped server to be away from him and caused one of my other friends to cut ties with him permanently. He also tried to punish my other friend for trying to remove him from all of our link shells, which I managed to prevent. Trying to approach him kindly or subtly about his personality, he goes to a fit of rage, turns the conversation around, saying I'm the one who has a terrible personality. It sounds like you just need to say fuck off and leave. I don't know why you're spending this much time writing me all these paragraphs about a situation that comes down to common social courtesy. Just fucking don't talk to this guy. Like, that's all it is. He's not a valuable human being in your life, apparently. So I'd say just say he used to always be a great supportive friend. Great, but he's being a fucking piece of shit. So tell him, listen, you're a piece of shit. Either stop being a piece of shit or I'm fucking not your friend. All right? Don't beat around the bush. Do it subtly. He's not a subtle person. Fuck this guy. Like, fuck it. It's not worth it, man. It's not fucking worth it. It's drama in your life you don't fucking need on a video game. Get that shit out of there. You have better shit to do with your life, I'm presuming. So just fuck it. That's it. It's done. And you're done. It's not worth it. It's just not worth it. Alright, on that note, reply number 20. Hey, Habs, not new, so no bonus. Feels bad, man. Request cat in pieces. Wow, just meme the whole sentence. Why don't you? It's been a pretty mid-core. I've been a pretty mid-core raider since second coil days, and I've been raiding casually for the past 6 months to catch up after being away. Just this past week, though, I tried out for a DPS position in a hardcore static and ended up getting it. I'm super excited, but also really nervous and stressed. Any advice for going into Tuesday morning confident and de-stressed? You're overthinking it. That's the bottom line. You're overthinking it. Who cares if it's a hardcore static? You do you, and you do your job, and you do it right. The only thing I'll say is if they criticize you in any way, don't lash back at them. Be open-minded, because that's how raid groups are successful. They're open-minded, they listen, and they criticize. Regardless of how you do it, that's how you be successful. So just don't think about it, and just be like, okay, this raid fight, I've done raids before. It's a raid fight. Who cares? I've done this before. There might be a mechanic that stresses me out. I'll learn it. Same thing you'd always did before. Don't overthink it. Number 21, happy Sunday, Mr. Happy. First time asking a question since Stormblood launched. So how about that new bonus of 6,010 tomestones of creation and 4 tokens of loot? Why 6,010? What? What a weird number. It's not even over 9,000. I was hoping that you might be able to help remind me about some Omega Savage information I cannot seem to find. All right, so this will probably be a really basic question. Recall at some point during the release that they were going to be changes to the loot drop. Okay, so this question was asked before the live letter. It was asked July 13th, whereas the live letter happened on the 15th. So that information has been answered since then. I would just go look at live letter number 37, the overview to it. There's a bunch of slides and a perfect explanation of what you're looking for. All right, number 22. Hey, Mr. Happy, long time no ask. I was just pondering to myself, and I was wondering why we only have room for one companion. As much as I love my burb, surely in every expanding Final Fantasy XIV universe, there's room for more. Like a Magitech companion. We were actually originally supposed to get a Magitech companion at some point, and it's like vaporware pretty much at this point. I'm okay with the idea as long as, you know, it's cool. The thing is the companion is used so infrequently. I mean, I guess depending on who you are, it's used infrequently, but it's not a part of the grander scheme of Final Fantasy XIV. It's just a little pet to help you out in open world content, and for you to make everyone fucking hate you at Ixion, because you just had to summon it, right? You all just had to summon it, right? You couldn't just join a party with a healer in it. You had to all summon your... Now the server's crashing. Look what you've done. But, yeah, I guess that's probably why. Probably animation-wise, considering how infrequently it's used overall, that's probably why. All right, number 23. Hey, Mr. Happy. New here, but longtime viewers have a bonus of being able to destroy Blitzball from all existence. Can I get only this guy to answer questions, this man or woman to be the only person who asks questions from now on? I think I like them a lot. My question may come across as something newbie-esque. Hey, that's what I do. I answer all questions. But I'll be honest and say I haven't played 14 in 2 years. All right. Do you have any advice on how to power level other jobs in Stormblood? So there's actually a lot more power leveling methods than people kind of realize in this game. Leave power leveling, early game monster grinding. The new server bonuses make everything substantial. There's actually a lot of ways, but Palace of the Dead is easily the most used one across the board. I wouldn't even call that power leveling. It's just sort of a leveling method that happens to be fast. I know PvP and Palace Dead are great, but wanted to get some additional insight. So dungeons in general are great. The main reasons why I don't recommend dungeons before level 60 or 61 is you generally want to save the rest of the XP for 61 to 70, which is, even though it's not so bad, is probably the longest 10-level stretch or 9-level stretch in the game. So rest of the XP, making sure you log out in Sanctuaries, Palace of the Dead, PvP, all great options. Your roulettes if you want to switch things up a little bit. But also don't forget about things like daily hunts, whether it be in the Heavensward areas or the Stormblood areas. Things like that are all really useful. If you have a friend, you can power level to like 30 to 40 incredibly fast by just killing enemies out in the world. Basically, your friend sits in a different... sits outside of your party, and you claim enemies that are a lot higher level than you on a low level, and then he just proceeds to one-shot them over and over again. Back in the day, when we needed to level our cross classes, I did Lancer from 1 to 34 in about 3.5 hours, and honestly, that was slow. We could have done it even faster. Now we have Alamigani earrings for pre-order bonuses. You have those new player bonuses. It's incredible. I did 1 to 34 in 3.5 hours doing that, but it requires a friend, so it's a little bit more difficult. The leave power leveling is better with a friend, but can somewhat be done solo as well, which is also detailed in a video I made not too long ago. So there are methods, but pretty much you already have your answer. You're just kind of asking for additional insight, and those are what you will most likely do. All right, number 24. Hey, Mr. Happy, reposting question from last week since you skipped it. Really? Wait, last week, did I skip? I skipped a question about one thing, but it wasn't these. I'm reading these. I didn't skip these. Maybe I accidentally edited it out of the video. Huh, my bad. All right, I'll answer it again. So what's up with the elite marks? Have I got... No, I definitely answered this exact question last week, because I said the posted daily thing is a typo, and your friend says warrior, the beast gauge points increase the effectiveness. I answered these questions. No, go to last week's questions. I'm 100% positive I answered both of these, because I even checked with my chat on question number 2 last week. Maybe I either edited it out by accident or something. So I'll just answer again real quick. 1, posted daily, typo, they're posted weekly. 2, yes, if you read the tooltips for Deliverance and Defiance, it tells you what your bonus is per 10 beast gauge that you get. So I skipped the question prior to this one. I'm just going to say, please don't ask questions. If you were the person who asked the question before this one, and you know who you are, please don't ask questions like that on Mondays with Mr. Happy. It wasn't even like a personal question. It didn't cross any lines. It's just like, don't ask that on a Mondays with Mr. Happy. That's it. That's it. Okay. Pseudo bonus potential if you like. Would you be happy with Puppet Master Combat Mammoths for field combat as either in addition to Chicken Bird A? I don't know what I just read. Honestly, my brain still melted from the last question. I'm just going to read the actual questions here. Let's see. Questions of Monday with Mr. Happy Roulette. Character, environment, races, missing attractions, spoiler 2.0, and lore questions. Wow, you got a lot of questions here. I'm going to go with characters, right? It's the first one. So 2.0 and early 2.x did this detail, and occasionally it hit or miss even now, for the Makote not having torso pieces clip through the tail. Any chance of pieces that do will be corrected? I'm going to go ahead and say no. I doubt they're going to be corrected because they don't like to go back and really fix old things. They like to focus on the new things. So as much as I'm not very much a glamour or character, I don't have good answers for this shit ever. No, I don't think they will. I honestly don't. Number 26, I'm quite surprised that Stormblood is not banned in China, given the Rebel story and the indirect reference to China as Doma. So, Doma. It's all Eastern culture. So, I don't know if it's necessary. It's not like it's... I don't think this is bannable in China. What do you think about the recent death of Li... I don't know. I don't know about any of this stuff. Dude, I'm a fucking nerd. I don't know about any of the shit that you just named. I have no idea what you're fucking talking about. I don't know this shit. I don't know. I don't have an opinion on this. So, I don't know. There you go. Reply number 27. What's going on in the latter half of these questions? Long time viewer, first time asker. By the way, you said hello. I'll say hello. Hello. First time asker here, so please have a bonus of 1 free Ixion horn. See, you don't understand. I'm 11 out of 12 horns right now. You don't understand how great your bonus is. Maybe you do. Maybe you actually knew I was 11 out of 12. I'm a black mage in a high-end mid-core static. Dragoon wants to switch to red mage due to balance concern. It's not, raids aren't hard enough that you need that, all right? I am black mage that switched to red mage, and I've been debating making the switch. Group has certain expectations. Tell him Dragoon's getting buffed. This was also, no, this was after the live. Tell him Dragoon's getting buffed. He'll be fine. All right, number 28. Hey there, Mr. Happy. Hopefully you're as excited for the Mega Savage raid as I am. As a bonus, you will get to fight Rabban and Pippin as your Super Savage fight. Only me? So I'm not the one who wants to fight them. That's everyone else. Since we are close to the new raid, my question is about raiding. Watching different videos and even your runs, I've noticed quite the discrepancy between the amount of DPS pushed by you and your groups compared to other people. Normally, being able to push phases and damage is especially as high out the gate. Sano Extreme comes to mind. It seems almost like a pipe dream to get myself in another group to that level of play. Even practice my rotation compared to videos and guides I've watched doesn't seem to provide the same result. My question is simple. What are some of the contributing factors, whether it be methods you or others use, to help push better damage both party-wide and individually? I think at this point we've just been playing the game so long that we can play a job we're not that great at to at least an optimal level because we care enough to try and do so. I'm not like a top DPS by any means in any regard on any job. I can play almost any job to at least a sufficient level to the point where you're not going to be like, oh my god, I had an 800 DPS bard in the group and they do like 3.4k normally. You know, I'll always be way above that. I may not be 3.4k, but I could probably do 3 to 3.1. Just because, you know, I'm not super experienced and I'm not like sitting there practicing over and over again. You know, I'm not putting in the hours to reach that perfect level of play. And I haven't in quite a long time. So I think it just comes down to we sort of just care. And you care too. You're probably over judging yourself. You're probably in the same position I am where you're like a few hundred below what's considered top, or not even necessarily a few hundred, but, you know, not as good as other people that you're seeing. So it's really hard to nail down. I think you might be being overcritical of yourself, but as for a group, they just have to care. That's it. If you care, you play better. That's the bottom line. Because if you don't care, you'll never try to improve. And that's true of anything, but in Final Fantasy XIV, in terms of DPS, healing, output in general, that's all it really takes. Give a shit, and you'll be fine. And it sounds like you give a shit, so you're probably fine in over-criticizing yourself. All right, number 29. Hello, Mr. Happy. I hope you're looking forward to try the new raid. Now, a lot of people asking me if I'm looking forward to it. Of course I'm looking forward to it. Have some cracked clusters, dude. I already have like 75 of them. Here are my questions. Warning, the first 2 questions are just for the list. The last one's kind of a rant. All right, at least you gave me some precursor. I appreciate that. 1, I'm playing a male character, but there's a lot of glamour in the game that targets female characters. Feels like a waste. Yeah, actually, I've seen a lot of people comment on this. I don't think it's ever going to change. Inside the game, the housing would be customizable, like retainers, but you could use the glamour. Oh, so they could just see the glamour? Oh, that's interesting. So, like, even if you want to, like, do a Fantasia change, you want to see how the armor looks before you do it. It's not a bad idea. I don't know how much effort they'd want to put into implementing it, but I could kind of see the appeal to it. I mean, I don't really have thoughts because I don't care about glamour, but if it's an idea, then suggest it. 2, how about extending the idea of question 1 to eternal bonding? That I don't understand. Oh, the dress as well. I mean, yeah, if you're going to see one, why don't you want to be able to see the other? You can already kind of see what all the other stuff looks like on other people. And then rant on. Why did it take a full expansion to realize the problems and fix Paladin, but less than a month to fix Warrior? I don't know that it's necessarily a Warrior fix. It was just an unfun thing that they had implemented. And it was very different because Paladin had not horrible tools in 3.x, but they kept designing shit that was so bad for Paladin. If you look at Paladin in 3.x, honestly, if they had had the block magic damage change then, honestly, they probably wouldn't have been memed on so hard. Yes, they would have still output less DPS, but they wouldn't have been just memed on entirely if they at least had that one aspect to their job. And Warrior, it was kind of the same. I mean, it's something a little bit more important in terms of the beast gauge. It's something that that was introduced to lower the skill gap, whereas the whole shield blocking thing you would have played almost the same regardless. So that's probably why 1 felt like it had a greater impact directly on the gameplay experience versus 1 would have just been a buff pretty much. I think that might be the difference that that caused it. All right, so it's my second time reading this question because this person just I normally we have people who do spoiler warnings. Obviously, I'm kind of past the point with spoiler warnings, but I still kind of respect it here. I don't know why I do that, why I respect spoilers more on Mondays with Mr. Happy than I do in pretty much any other place. But I do, so this one has the name of some bosses and some characters and whatever. Spoiler warning, I'm just going to do it anyway. Good day, Mr. Happy. I have 2 quick questions. What are your thoughts on people asking for Shinryu to be nerfed or removed from the main scenario quest? I think it's pretty damn sad. Second, my friend was thinking about doing a 14 podcast mainly for fun and discussion, but wants to use a PS4 to stream it. That's not a good idea. PS4 has like that shitty little camera in the top right, and that's it. I don't think you can do anything else with that. So no, I don't think that'll work out to answer that question. And one, I mean, people are entitled to their opinions, but I don't think it should be nerfed, and especially not removed. Fuck that. Nerfed, I could understand a little bit why you would want that, but no, it's when was the last time I asked a final boss in a game? I don't care if it's an MMO or not. The final boss of the game to be fucking nerfed. When was the last time I went, man, Neo X-Death at the end of Final Fantasy V is an asshole. I hate this boss. Nerf it. No, and I understand it's an MMO, but come on, it's the final boss of the story. It's the final boss. You can't put in a little effort. It's the final boss. Go make some friends in a link shell or a free company or something, and that you can clear it together. And then if you're still if they're still fucking it up, then you know you just try to overcome it because you're friends. You know what I mean? Just yeah. That, and by the time you're asking me this question, they've already said they're not nerfing it. So at least we know that. Oh yeah, spoiler over, by the way. Forgot. All right, number 31. Hey, Hapster, first-time poster, so enjoy being Xenos' psychiatrist? What do you try? I feel like that's how, obviously I'm not a woman, but apparently that's how you make Harley Quinn, is by putting somebody as fucking Xenos' psychiatrist. Wanted to give you something different, something you wouldn't forget. Okay, achieved. I hope you haven't been locked out of Ixion. Actually, no, I was in the instance, and other people were locked out. I got gold, though. It was worth it. 11 out of 12 horns, like I said earlier. 2 questions, both relatively silly. If Xenos was really interested in a warrior to excite him, could we just have thrown one of the Mandervilles at him? That would have been pretty boring for us as players, but definitely would have given us some cinematics. Yeah, sure. Like you said, it was a silly question. And in a brawl, similar to Omega versus Shinryu, again, that's 3.5, so I'm not spoiler warning that. Warning? Warning. Spoiler warning. No, spoiler warning. Makes more sense. Who do you think would win? Thornton and his Heavensward versus Shinryu, Omega versus Godbert, and Hancock versus Mr. Face. Well, Mr. Face clearly wins the third one because it's fucking Will Smith versus Mr. Face, so that's an obvious one. Omega versus Godbert, Godbert. Thornton versus Shinryu. I'm going to take Thornton on that one. That's the only one I'll take seriously. I'm going to take Thornton on that one. Just because I think he'd just be like, yeah. Remember, I know you're made of 2 of these eyes, but they're going to be pretty drained by the time you get them. So I'm just going to use it while it's at its full power. It might only be 1, but I'm going to just use this 1 at its full power before you have 2 that are like almost drained. Also, I just realized you didn't mean Hancock, the Will Smith Hancock. You meant the dude in fucking Kagane. I'm still sticking by my answer, though. The answer doesn't change. Number 32. Hello, Mr. Happy. Greetings from Israel, and I hope you're having a great week. I am so far. Final Fantasy XII has been consuming all of it. Started watching your videos about a year ago, and now watch them on a daily basis. Keep up the great work. Ay. As it is my first time checking, I have a bonus of the Otter minion, so you can skip the grind of Orange. Dude, I was never going to try to get it in the first place, so I'm okay with this. I have 2 small questions, so I hope you can answer them both. One, with heavy emphasis on DPS in the Trinity, do you think Square Enix can implement a pure support? No, I think it's a different reason why they can't implement a pure support, though. It's because you need a pure support role then. And if you introduce only a single pure support while introducing the role, that's one job. That one job is mandatory in every group. You then need to create 3 pure supports and forego adding any tanks, healers, or DPS, which we already saw what happens when you introduce DPS, which is a role that already exists. Imagine what would happen if you're introducing a new role and only jobs that fit that new role. It would be kind of a disaster. And you wouldn't want to change any of the existing jobs to pure supports. I know some people think, oh, then just change Bard. That's not a good idea either, because we already saw what happened when you just take Bard and give it cast times. We saw what happened there. Imagine just changing its entire role. It's not going to happen. 2, I always knew Heidelin is inspired by the world of Ivalice. The empires are basically the same, and Ivalice is coming in 4.1. With that said, do you think they will add Vieira to the 4.x lifecycle as a playable race? No. I don't. First of all, I don't think they're ever going to do a playable race or a job or anything ever again in a just patch. It's not going to happen. Second of all, I don't think they'll do it until at minimum 5.0. Because, let's be honest, Square Enix always comes back to fan service when it comes to the Final Fantasy franchise. As much as Yoshi P has said, no, we don't want to do Vieira, we want to do something original, and then created the Aura. I mean, come on, look at Omega's raid. Look at it. They love the fan service. They know the fan service sells. They know who's playing their game. It'll happen at some point. I can't say they won't do Vieira. It's gonna happen at some point. I just don't think it'll be in the 4.x life cycle. And I believe this is the last question. Hey, Happy Sand Crafter question for... What? I'm sorry. What? All right, let me just read the question first, I suppose. Whoops, I forgot a bonus. One sec. Your bonus is an I Beat Bahamut shirt. It's in mint condition. Does that shirt exist? Oh, yeah, it does. That's the... No, I know I have the Meteor Survivor shirt. All right, whatever. I'll take it. I beat Bahamut shirt. Any question time. I'm leveling Goldsmith for Desynth. Oh, Desynth, the one thing I can actually answer. Awesome. What's the best way to level Desynth while I level the actual crafter? So they're completely separated from one another. But the best thing to do would be to be crafting items that will level you that also are subsequently useful for Desynth. The problem is, until you hit level 50... you're probably going to end up creating more items. It's going to take you crafting more items than it takes for you to Desynth to get to the same level. So from 1 to 50, don't worry about it so much. But if you can craft your own items to Desynth for cheap, like you have all your own materials, that would be the best way. Just look at the item level of the gear, look at your Desynth level, compare them, and then just try to Desynth your way up. It's a pretty simple process, but it would probably take longer than you want to. Desynth can be power leveled super fast if you have the money to do so. Even if you don't, there's some really cheap methods out there that make money back or make money in general while you're leveling Desynth. So there's quite a few options if you Google a few things. Even some of the older guides are still useful now. It's just you'll level it even faster than you used to before. But anyway, that's the final question for Mondays with Mr. Happy this week. Like I said, feeling a little run down. You could tell from the first few questions from my demeanor. Until I got the question that I skipped. And then I just, the Jersey in me came out. It was a pretty tame episode until then. So that's the last question for this week. I'm not going to do the live Twitch questions just so I can wrap things up and just kind of rest a little bit. So I'm going to hang out with the Twitch chat for a little bit, but those on YouTube, thank you for watching. Be sure to ask your questions for next week's Mondays with Mr. Happy in the description of the video. There will be a link to the forums. Go there and ask it there. And don't forget your bonuses if it's your first time, but you don't need to do bonuses if it's not your first time. A lot of you offer me bonuses even when it's not your first time, and I don't need that. I don't need that. But anyway, thank you for watching. I will see you guys next week for the next episode of Mondays with Mr. Happy. Enjoy your Savage rating. Best of luck to the World First teams, and best of luck to those of you who aren't World First and trying to clear it as quick as possible. I'll see you guys next week, and until then, take care.